Hello there, good afternoon to you. And today's scripture to memorize will be from Psalm 3, verse 3, that says, "But thou, O Lord, art a shield for me, my glory and the lifter up of my head." So, when you're faced with a situation where you have to reaffirm that God is everything you need, so such scriptures can be something to refer to. Having said that, today I'm talking about understanding your competition or learning from your competition. The reason why why I brought this up is that in the Bible there was a situation where God, when He was about to give Israel land they did not really work hard for, He asked them to send spies to countries or nations to spy out the land, to understand the ways of their doing things. And from there, when they learn those things, they will know how to strategize and know how to overcome them, like Jericho and a lot of other nations. And this kind of situation is, or what I'll call a double-edged sword, that you can learn from the adversaries' weak points, and you can also learn from their strengths. Like, for example, we have read in the Bible that God, when Moses was born, that even as the children were, a lot of children of that age were destroyed, the children of the Hebrew. But God wanted to preserve Moses. And after the parents hid him for a while, and as he was growing up, they could not really hide him anymore. So the mother made a kind of a rift and dropped her in the river and asked the sister to watch over him. And the favor of God came upon him when the daughters of Pharaoh came to swim there. They heard the child cry, and he took and saw that it was a child, and he knew instantly that this must be one of the children of the Hebrew women. And then Miriam, Moses' sister, told her that he would call one of the Hebrew women to come over and nurse the child for her, and she agreed. But if you watch carefully in that story, you will notice that God had a strategy. And God had a strategy by planning it out that Moses should grow in the house of the Egyptians, because he's God. He knew in the long term that Moses was going to be a deliverer for the Hebrew people, and he wanted Moses to study a lot about the Egyptians. And right from time, the Egyptians, they, even to this day, they have one of the most ways of embalming a cup. Like, you see that what they call now Egyptian mummies. These are corpses of pharaohs they had died thousands of years ago, even before Jesus came. And they have a method of embalming these pharaohs that they are not completely, they do not completely rot in their casket, and they keep them for a very long time. And a lot of them, they are still preserved, and today you see them, that the archaeologists, when they dig up all these caves, and they bring out these mummies, a lot of them, they are still intact, their outlines. So that is technology in their own way, and over years it's still valid today, and it's probably one of the only kingdoms that did that then, that is still valid today. So that is what God wanted to do, because by the time God now asked Moses that he wanted to use him to go and deliver the children of Israel, even though Moses was kind of uncomfortable with the assignment, but because he was born, or rather because he grew up in the house of Pharaoh, he was not really scared of Pharaoh. So all the time that Pharaoh rejected letting Israel go, but you see that he kept on going back as God would ask him to go back. And at the end of the day, we know what now finally happened. First, when the firstborn of the Egyptians died, including the animals, that they said, no, this is too much pain, and they had to let Israel go. Then, after a while, they felt that they've made a big mistakes, and they chased after them till they got to the Red Sea. And by the grace of God, the sea opened up, and the children of God, the Hebrews, they passed through the sea on dry land. Even at one time, I was reading an article recently that said that there was proof that at a certain time, long time ago, very long time ago, that they have proof that the Red Sea did split into two, which would really support the story of the Israelites, that they passed through the Red Sea on dry land. But of course, in that report, they did not say that it was a divine intervention. They said it was a very strong wind that passed through the sea and was able to open the sea. But strangely, that when the Egyptians wanted to chase after them, they all perished in the sea, in the Red Sea. So the thing is that these days, I think one of the things that we do as believers is just that we just feel that we live a superior life, and we don't even look at those who are our competition. And you see that the things that they do, which we feel we cannot do, like for example, look at the war which is happening now in the Middle East. Even though you see Iran, out of desperation, shooting missiles and drones to countries which they feel are harboring the enemy, which they would call now as Americans, having their bases in those countries like Qatar, Kuwait, the Saudi, UAE, and the rest. They managed to hit those American targets there. So when you think of these things, you know that is strength. That it's almost like what happened in between Russia and Ukraine. Russia was very confident that they were going to smoke Ukraine, in probably a few days, and the war is lasting over 3 years now, and they seem to be going nowhere. And even though Ukraine is a small country compared to the almighty Russia, they couldn't really take them out, because over time too, the Ukrainians, though they are neighbors, they managed to probably have known the ways of the Russians. So we who are believers, what do we do? Well, we see those who are operating on different systems. How do we overcome them? Because Christians are scrutinized all over the world. When you go on social media, you see that what a pastor preaches in his church, it will become a topic on social media. So how do they know? Because they are spying on the church. But if you ask a believer what is trending inside the lives of the secular world, they have no idea. But the wisdom there is that we should know what is going on there, so we can be equipped, So it's wisdom. Now, even with these issues of Iran, with what's going on there, I see like in Nigeria that there are protests in the northern part of Nigeria, where you have a lot of Muslims. They are protesting, that the Shiites now, a lot of them are protesting against the attack by Israel and America on Iran. So however you look at it, it is still strength for them. Some are protesting in Kano, some are protesting in Sokoto, mostly the northern enclaves. But switch the story around. When Israel was attacked on October 7th, how many Christian countries came to the support of Israel by carrying out a march or a protest? Nobody did. They just watch and they say, But that is not strength. And because you don't react, the next time they will do more. So it's very important that one studies one adversity, or if you don't want to say adversity, one studies your competition, so that you can see what they are doing. And if you have to upgrade yourself, you do. I remember in Germany, after the World War, that's the Hitler War, that Germany was destroyed so much. And one of the countries that came to help Germany rebuild their infrastructure was the Turkey, people from Turkey. And of course, there were some Italians and all. But that's a long time ago. But if you look at Turkey itself, in that region, Turkey now, they do a lot of things. They do a lot of things that in terms of machinery, because Germany is well known for the things they produce, like the BMW, the BMWs, or BMW as they call it, the Mercedes, the DAF, Renault, the Volkswagen. These are all made in Germany, and these are very, very good machines. And they also produce other machines for doing so many things, which when you hear people talking about German machines, they know that these things are solid, because over the years they proved themselves worthy of what they do. But all these people who came to help help them build when the country was destroyed. They also learned in the process of learning, and a lot of them took those things back to their country. So, and you see there now that Turkey now, they still produce a lot of things. They produce machines, a lot of machines, and they are durable. So where did they get that from? Because they learned from those who knew more than them. So it's almost like you stole those technologies. How did China become what they are now? Long time ago, China was also suffering, but they had a strategy where they said, okay, fine, we have manpower. So if you have anything to produce here, bring the technology to us, and we'll help you produce them en masse. And even though those things were cheap that were done, that were made out of China, but they also learned that, okay, this is how you make this is how you make that. Today, China is even probably, I would say they have even overtaken countries like Japan in production, though Japan is still producing some high quality stuff. But when you talk about mass production, it's China. How they do it? They had a strategy and they learned, from those who knew more than them. And now they are good in what they are doing. So, but we in Africa, there is a problem. Sometimes in the process of hiding things, the people don't get to learn anything. Like, for example, the companies that are mining lithium in the ways what they use in doing all this EV stuff, like the electric motors, the batteries, and all. They put some Africans there, but you see, the Africans don't really get to learn how the technology is made. So you can't really call that learning. So they are on the lowest in terms of hierarchy of those production. They put all those Western expatriates on the top of the production line. So these things are very important, strategies in life. That is why you see people you see a man who is struggling in business. But when he has a strategy to say, okay, let me read a book written by Dangote, one of the richest men in Africa, or the richest in Africa, he will be able to tap wisdom there. And you see that too in churches, where probably a man like Pastor E. Adeboye, the man who has esteemed himself in the area of management or managing the ministry, as a success. Because when he came to the Redeemed was just it was just a church with a few branches, but they have succeeded in expanding the church to every nook and corner of the world. So you see the younger churches coming up, they would like to learn about the life of the man so they could apply that in their ministry, and it's working. So you cannot just say that you want to be successful in whatever you do and you just relax. Like I go back into the war in Iran right now. This did not the planning of this war did not just happen in one day. They've been planning this thing for months and even years. The CIA they be spying on Iran to know, okay, this is probably the routine of the Ayatollah and the military guys and how they live their lives. And they are reading and studying them and making plans and all. And when they felt that they had enough on them, they mapped out a strategy to strike them. So everything in the world. So if you are a Christian or you want to be successful, or in whatever way, whether you are in competition, you see, even let's bring this home, even to marriages. There are a lot of marriages these days that fall apart because the strange woman have studied the woman in the house and she has seen her flaws, and then she will now equip herself, get ready, come in and take over. Probably the way the woman is treating the husband, she sees that, oh, it could be a husband issue or a wife issue. And the other person will say, oh, this guy is not doing what he should do, and they will plan and all. And you see that a lot of marriages are going apart because people are not really aware of what they need to do to sustain their marriages. You see, a lot of women, I'm not trying to say it's only women now, probably they don't really see the importance of cooking or making delicious meals for their husband. And a strange woman is watching from the corner. And probably she has a degree in cookery or in this, what they call them, or catering. And she comes in, even if sometimes she can be a house girl. But the kind of food that she'll be dishing out to the man will be looking at her. And one day when the wife is not home, he probably looks her or the girl dressed attractive and entice him, and he falls for the trap. And it probably not happened that maybe the wife was not able to give birth to a male child, because in Africa we are very conscious of having a male child. Not everybody do, because for me I don't care. I have male, I have female, but my daughter is everything to me. I love my boys as well, so I'm not really a male kind of freak person to say he must have male children. But a lot of men, they do. All these men who believe in this traditional stuff. So like I said, when the maid comes now, probably she gets pregnant and what she carries is a boy. Then the man says, wow, I'm now going to get a boy that's going to take over inheritance, and there will be a war. And he might even kick out the wife. On the other hand too, you might see a woman married to a man and the man is very ungrateful and treats her very bad. And probably you might see some men, they don't even have a job and the woman does a lot for him, takes care of the family and everything. Instead of the man to be appreciative, you see he'll be throwing all kind of tantrums that I'm a man, I'm a husband and the rest. So in such situation, you see that probably when they're having issues in the house and maybe the man is being abusive, even for another man who's coming to reconcile them when they quarrel, you see that the next thing that he's treating the woman well, or when the husband beats the woman, he goes to the man. The woman is crying on the man's shoulder, and from there things happen. And the next thing you see the woman move into the man's house, and by the time the man starts complaining, it's over. So these are strategies in life. So in any way you want to progress, you want to be the first, look at those who know more than you and learn from them. So this is what happens if you are in business and you see that in a day the clientele base you have, they are not up to scratch, and you see the other guy across the road raking in thousands of customers daily. You just have to spy and see what he's doing there that you're not doing. So these are strategies that we can put together, and before you know it, success will be knocking on our doors. So this is what I have for us today. I pray the Lord gives us wisdom in ministry, in our endeavors, even things that we do, in our homes, in our marriage, in our personal life. So when we apply this kind of strategies, we'll be surprised what kind of good and progress that comes out of it. So thank you very much for listening. God bless you. Have a nice day.